At 6 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and call the open session of August 10th, 2022 to order. We have nothing to report from closed session this evening, so we will go ahead and move to the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Ackerman,
Present.
Councilmember Fichula,
Here.
Councilmember Lerman,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza, present, and Mayor Burst.
Present. All right, item 2E, could I get an approval of the agenda order?
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? All right, motion passes. Moving to consent. Matters on the consent calendar are routine in nature and will be approved by one blanket motion. If anybody would like to pull an item from the consent calendar, you may do so now. All right, seeing none, can I get a motion on the consent calendar?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Abstained? Opposed? Seeing none, consent calendar passes. Moving to agency reports, starting with Placer County Sheriff's Department.
My name is John Scanlon. I'm a deputy with the Colfax County Sheriff's Office. So if you haven't seen one of my presentations.
Oh, one sec, you're gonna get mic checked.
Sorry. Is that better?
Yes, now Zoom can hear you too.
Okay, so if you have seen me give a report on our statistics, I feel like I've been doing the sheriff's office a disservice because I only report the statistics for the area where I'm giving a presentation, and it's not representative of what we do. So I'm going to give two sets of statistics. In July, the sheriff's office ran 4,650 incidents, arrested 173 individuals, and issued 74 citations. The reason that I bring up that statistic is because this one's a little underwhelming. In the city of Colfax, we ran 212 incidents, made 4 arrests, and issued 1 citation. But the 4,600 incidents that I just spoke about, your Colfax car helped out on lots of those, right? You usually see more than one deputy at a call. So just because we only had 212 incidents within the city limits, that just means that the city's a pretty good place to be. It's not super busy, but your deputy is still super busy because he's covering the George beat or Edward, or something happened in Auburn the other night. We were down there for hours and hours and hours. So that being said, does anybody have any questions about any of this? Perfect. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, CHP, you got good news?
Good evening, Chris Nate, California Harbor Patrol, Gold Run area. Let me get my eyes on. Just a couple of stats. I ran second quarter stats for you, just so you're aware. 73 collisions, second quarter, 9 DUI collisions, 2 fatal collisions, and 42 of those collisions had injuries. Just so for future, obviously you guys have seen schools back in session. Probably noticed a little bit of the traffic pickup today. So both elementary school and high school are back in. So just be aware of that. Traffic's going to get backed up now for a little bit, and they start later now. So traffic's going to be a little bit later. So just you guys are aware. I'm sure you've seen it. And then this year, just another notice: Burning Man is full bore. It's there's no restrictions. There's none of that. So. That's always Labor Day weekend, so they will be coming up in full force. So just be aware of that. Understand that that's going to may cause some traffic issues. And then we've also got some paving projects going on right now. Anybody that heads east of here, just east of here, we got some paving going on. Right now, they're currently between Secrettown and Gold Run. So it is causing delays. And, you know, as we say up here, there's 2 seasons. There's winter season, there's construction season. So, it's finally hitting our area here. So just be aware it's going to cause delays. So that's all I've got. You have any questions for me about anything? I did not run any arrest stats because I couldn't pull it up on my computer and I got angry and walked away. So, sorry. Anything for me? Yes, sir.
Is there any talk of clearing the vegetation away from the highway so the truck come down and catch on fire?
So I'll go ahead and repeat the question. It's about vegetation on the side of the highways and making sure that the trucks aren't starting fires along their way.
Yes, there is a lot of conversation going on about that. That's a Caltrans county kind of thing. Your county supervisor's here. Maybe she could touch on that a little bit more, but it is conversation going on about that sort of cleaning it up. And we are today, in fact, we had the commercial vehicle enforcement out there. We were doing a ton of enforcement on the brake check area, trying to get them to pull off at the brake check area, check their brakes. That's just part of the problem. The other problem is their elevated speeds. They're just going way too fast, way too fast. So, but so is everybody else. So, but yeah, I mean, anybody knows you've seen there's 75, 80 coming down the hill now, if not higher than that. So, but yes, it is in progress and your county supervisor is aware of it as well. So, yeah, to answer your question, I don't know where we are with that, but I know that, it's been a lot of conversations based on that. Yes.
On that note, I'd like to thank our fire department and our sheriff's department for their response time today. We did have a spot fire on the side of 80 just east of Canyon Way. And in the time it took me to call 911, turn around and run down the freeway with my fire extinguisher, Parker was already rolling up on me, ready to tell me to get my butt back in my car. So thank you guys. And the fire department was right there as well. And, the guys from Plaza were out there with their fire extinguishers putting it out too. But that was the fastest 911 response I've ever seen.
Very good. Love it. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Yep.
So in the last weekend, there's been two major accidents on I-80. They're at Meta Vista. We're in Susquehanna. I don't know if you're
We end right here at Colfax, but go ahead.
Okay, but they've been backed up. Really slow response, getting CHP there, managing traffic.
Could you repeat the question a little? I'm sorry, people online aren't able to hear the spectators.
So the question was the CHP response to a couple of major collisions near the Meta Vista Applegate area and the backup. I can tell you that Auburn CHP is not as good as Gold Ridge CHP is. So I don't have an answer as to why. Maybe they're on other calls. Maybe they weren't. I know that we are extremely short-staffed. I mean, we're trying to hire 1,000 people this year. So I don't know why, but I can tell you right now with the 2 lanes and the elevated amount of traffic we have these days, one person crashes and it's forget it. It's going to be backed up for days. So and we work very hard, us and the sheriff and the fire, to get there, get it cleared out as soon as we can to get the lanes open back up. But yeah, we got 2 lanes for essentially from here to Reno. There's a couple places where there's 3. And I know they are planning on trying to build another truck lane east of here, but yeah, it's a problem. We can get there as soon as we can get there. I know like Auburn's been running 2 units for the entire lower half some days, so they have from Colfax all the way out to Wheatland and all the way down to Riverside. So I wish I knew a better answer for you, but I don't.
Unfortunately, last weekend was also the return traffic from Hot August night.
Yep.
And there were several severe accidents that backed the freeway up for hours. So
so you have that coming, and you got, like I said, that's why I mentioned the what do you call it up there, Burning Man. That's coming, so expect it. It's going to happen.
Yep.
The tree is going to be a mess. And we got the barbecue cook off that weekend. Then you got then we have the motorcycle thing. Street vibrations. Thank you. That's going to be next. So it's just that time. So patience is the best I can say. So and then maybe that way we could cut down. By the way, our highway violence and that sort of stuff is way up. It's way up. Highway shootings way up. So, and it's because of things like that. So we need to obviously fix that the best we can.
Well, thank you, Chris.
Yep.
We will go ahead and move to Placer County Fire Department, CAL FIRE.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Brian Estes, I'm the county fire chief. I wanted to just reference, I think that the reason there was the slowdown is that the Auburn CHP is helping with the fuel clearing along Interstate 80. I wish Gold Run could, maybe Officer Neves could carry a chainsaw in the back of his vehicle as well. But good evening. I wanted to just speak real briefly on an issue that came to my attention before I turn it over to Jeff Lovelace, our BC, for the department report. There were some questions, I think, that came out of the WACMAC about the status of the river fire investigation and report. I was personally on the phone today with our district attorney for the county, as well as our chief counsel for our department in Sacramento in the attorney general's office. Our department's report is complete and finalized, and we have submitted. We ran into a little bit of a hiccup, and that is because that report, or because the case potentially involves underaged persons, children, it falls under a section of the California Welfare and Institution Code. And so we had a plan tonight to redact the names and offer it to the council as a general overview of the report. Our council advised that we were not allowed to do that because of that Welfare and Institution Code. So what I do want to do, though, for members of the public, since we have a packed house here tonight, and for our council members, is be real clear about a pathway that you can acquire a copy of that report through the PRA process. And if you would like to do that, we have a really simple way to do that, and that's on the CAL FIRE website, www.fire.ca.gov. There's a tab right on the main page for Public Records Act requests. And as you probably know, the department has 10 days legally to respond to you with an answer to that question. And it takes you down through, you can even establish an account through that PRA tab so that you can keep tabs of how many times that you request and get answers from our chief counsel. So I know that's not exactly the answer that I was hoping to be able to give you tonight, but as Mick knows, sometimes the attorneys advise a certain direction, and I have to abide by that. So I just wanted to give you a pathway and our public a pathway to acquire that report if they so desire. So thank you very much for your time. I'm going to turn it over to Chief Lovelace for our department report.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you for the transparency. It's much appreciated.
Thank you, Chief. So, Madam Mayor, City Council, City Manager, Jeff Lovelace, Battalion Chief, CAL FIRE, Placer County Fire Department. As I always kind of start, one of our biggest threats, at least to this community, it has to do with the wildfire. So I kind of give a quick synopsis of where we're at on our fuels, and that kind of dictates what some of the fire behavior is going to do. I will tell you right now, we did have that monsoonal moisture that kind of came in. It did have several lightning strikes, most in Northern California and in Oregon, but kind of making its way down to closest would be Plumas National Forest. So that is something obviously we're keeping an eye on, but it did bring some of that moisture with it, which brought the community moisture. So really where we're at right now and on our fuels, it's our 10 and 100-hour fuels, is they're about average to where they should be. And this is in comparison to the last 10 years. So that's a good sign. I will, however, say that that average is encroaching on that critical stage. So we're right there at that borderline of when we are going to have some of these more critical or potentially more critical fires. So just kind of wanted to show you guys some of that, where we're at on that. I did want to go into some of the statistics. If you can take a look at the board there. I have it broken down in three different columns. One would be for station 30 and then company 36. And then I added a column in which I haven't added before, which is the actual response from company 36, which is the red there. All of these are broken down in the statistics for each one of those types of calls. As you can see, especially when I kind of explain what our fuels are, our vegetation fire numbers and statistics are going up. And then obviously we do have several traffic collisions, and then you can see the response from the company 36. I will, however, say that 18% is the call volume that they have responded to. So it's a little lower than it has been in the past. But the critical calls that they are going on are detrimental to help us out in achieving this, which I wanted to mention one of the calls that they did go on with the audience. I'll kind of keep it a little mild, but we did have a traffic collision just in this jurisdiction where it was a single sedan versus a dump truck, and with the response from the rescue, which is one of our volunteers, did an amazing job, was able to do patient care and grab a lot of the equipment from that rescue to make a huge difference in the life of those two victims. So I just wanted to mention that on a positive note. So other than that, that's pretty much the end of the report, unless I have any questions.
Any questions?
Yeah. Where are we at with brush 37, getting a replacement in there for the brush? I know we've trained on engine 98.
Correct.
Still sitting up at Alva, so I just want to see if we get an update.
Yeah, absolutely. So the update was obviously we don't have a type 3 because it went out of service mechanically. Again, that was due to maintenance with it and just being out of service and not DOT compliant. So it was not able to drive on the road. With that, we brought down a type 3 from a neighboring, obviously, area, brought that down here, and we had all of the volunteers being able to train and be certified to be able to drive that. Currently, right now, it is at Station 30. Again, any of the volunteers and the equipment that they want to jump on, we can make that readily available. So there's no issues with that as long as they get the training, which they did, and they completed that last month. So they have complete ability to respond in that vehicle.
Okay. Is it engine 98's over at Station 30, the Cal Fire Station?
I'd take that back. It's at 98 right now, but it has the ability to come back here. So just the last month it's been at Station 30. They just brought it back not too long ago.
Okay.
So yes, they have the ability to.
Okay. So, but it's up in Alta.
It's Alta right now. Okay. Correct.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. We have
Thank you.
no additional questions. Then we will move to nonprofits. Go ahead, Connie.
Connie Heileman. I'm representing the Chamber of Commerce, and we've had a nice mixer and ribbon cutting for the new business S Solar, and we want to thank Wes and Trinity for coming and attending that. We're having another mixer in September with Lighthouse Realty, and we're working with the helping to promote Railroad Days, and we're looking forward to doing that. But I'm also going to give you some information on the Sierra Vista Community Center. We have several events. We have our regular events. We have bingo every first Sunday. We have a lot of people that enjoy having an afternoon out, especially in the elderly type people that would like to have a day out. And then we're having our farmers market regularly every Wednesday from 4 to 7. And we have our flea market was one of our bigger events, and I think we're planning on doing a promotion on the freeway sign for the flea market in October. And then I also wanted to say, I'd also like, as a member of the Main Street businesses, I'd like to also help with when you're doing the Main Street design. I'd like to help with that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any other nonprofits here this evening? Come on up, Foxy.
The VFW breakfast is this Sunday from 8 to 11. The Legion has their dinner on Thursdays around 5:30. Trying to think anything else. Just that the art walk is every third Friday from 4 to 8. Sometimes some of the artists leave at 7, and there's also a car cruise along with that too. And then I'll talk about this later.
Okay. Thank you, Foxy. All right. Any other last nonprofits who want to come on up? All right. Seeing none, we'll move to item 5, presentations, starting with 5A. We have a presentation by Cindy, our District 5 supervisor, who will be talking about the winter storm.
Thank you, Mayor Burris and City Council. Thank you so much for giving me time on your agenda tonight. And do you mind if I answer the question quick on, we know the situation is desperate. I drive by it probably more than almost anybody up and down the hill. We coordinated with CAL FIRE and Chief Estes. He's sending the letter to Caltrans state to state, trying to ask them for that thinning. I've also sent a letter to Chris's boss to talk about speeding of the vehicles. We need enforcement, how critically dangerous it is to all of the communities along Interstate 80, that any spark could create a catastrophic fire for all of us. So we are doing our best. We also sent a letter to Caltrans asking for resurfacing along 80 between here and down, especially around the Applegate area, but all the way in toward Auburn because the road's in horrible condition. We've had lots of reports of windshields and flat tires, windshields breaking and flat tires because of that level of debris. So we're doing our best to advocate on your behalf and pushing buttons wherever we can. And happy to have more voices chime in with mine. I represent you, but we need all the voices behind it. And Don Belden from Alta is doing a tremendous job. Also requesting help and assistance for the Dutch Flat Alta area, same, through the whole area. So I believe next week is National Brake Safety Month. Do you know about that? Oh, and the trucking industry got back to me as well. The vice president of the trucking industry, we sent the letter to him and he said he will remind all the drivers. However they do that, I don't know. I would love to see, because I'm driving that, I see how fast they're passing me, So anyway, sorry, I'll go to the presentation and I'm happy to answer any other questions. By way of background, for those of you who don't know me, I know the council knows me. I started in office just 3 years and 4 months ago. And sometimes I have to remind myself of that because immediately we went into power safety shutoffs. And I was here with your then mayor on the news, watching him be interviewed about the devastation that was creating for many of the communities in my district with those extended power shutoffs. Then we had this little thing called a pandemic that jumped in. Then, unfortunately, we had the river fire. Then the bridge fire, and then of course Snowmageddon. And how do we in rural communities respond to all of these issues? It isn't about waiting for government, although government is here to try to support you. But if you waited for us all the time, it wouldn't happen as quickly. So it's due to the incredible volunteers and community members. We all live in small communities because that's what we love, because we can make a difference. And people make a difference, and they're the ones who really respond in those issues. Countless volunteer hours were contributed to that. And then I talked to Marnie at length, Trinity. We talked about how do I get the names of all the people. I don't want to forget anyone. So we put it in the newsletter as well as talking to city council members about who all was there and what did they do to help the community. And so all of the names submitted were nominated by others. And so any of you here that are going to get a certificate tonight, know that your neighbors, your friends appreciated what you did and put you on that list and responded to our inquiry. There were many heroes in this event, and certainly our public safety officials, CAL FIRE, Placer County Sheriffs, Placer County Fire Department, Forest Hill Fire, Placer Hills Fire, Office of Emergency Services showed up to help. And of course, our roads department was out there for many, many hours trying to get the roads clear when they could, when it was safe for them to be in there. So all of those people, though, get paid. And what we're trying to do tonight is recognize those who don't. So I wanted to start off with Mayor Trinity Burris, who on her Facebook and through all of her connections really went above and beyond to get all of us motivated and out there and understanding the circumstances and talking about the needs of the community. Councilmember Joe Fatula, Councilmember Marnie Mendoza, Councilmember David Ackerman, and Councilmember Sean Lohman. And of course, I'll never forget seeing Wes on a snowplow and city manager and snowplow, a loader driver. Yes, yeah, we do it all, don't we, in small communities? And so when I do this, I'd love to get a picture of everybody up front with the city council, if that's okay with you. So as I call names, is it okay if they line up and then you stand up and we'll do a picture? Is that okay? Or
Yeah, that'd be fine. And there's also some names that aren't on the list. And we do have a couple typos that we'll have to get back with people afterwards. Not everybody knew how to spell everyone's names. Or maybe we met for the first time on Facebook and, you know, you might be using an alias on Facebook. So people were just grateful for your help and they wanted to recognize you.
So we'll get that corrected. Tell us if we've got it wrong and we'll get it corrected. It doesn't take us long and we can add anyone else. I'm sure there are so many more, right? And so with that, Sophie, you want to come out? And Sophie is my district director. Often I'm in meetings and you can't get a hold of me directly or quickly. You can get a hold of Sophie. She can figure out when I can call you on a drive somewhere. So Sophie, thanks for being here. And if I get your name misspelled, I'm sorry. So Justin Rocky Farwell. And if you don't mind, we'll just start over there and bring around Jillian Whitcomb. See, and if I didn't spell it right, you know, you can hand it back after the photo. How's that? We'll get it fixed. Donna, I'm sorry, I won't take I don't know how to say your last name. Will you tell me how to say your last name? It's Javier. Great. Thank you. Kyle Tatum. Okay. Jordan DiMaggio. Dominic DiMaggio. Caroline McCulley. Wesley Willis. Christy Carlisle. Nick Dion. Ken Little. We're going to have to double up here. There's so many. Jody Henry. Jody here? Okay. 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 Lee Harrison. Dylan La Madrid. Jeremy Rogers. Molly Perry. Sarah Murphy. Rhonda Woods. Derek Ackley. Sarah Perez. Gidget Van Dam Baudre? Did I get that right? Boudre? Jeff Boudre? Marika Porter? Hank Silva? Iglesia Egan? Rick Tetral? Thank you. And Greg Westfalen.
And then Foxy, Susan, and Tamara, could you guys make your way up here? Over or? You're gonna have to do like a video. Okay, around, I got.
Here you go, so we'll stand.
Yeah.
Oh, here, let me cover that light.
The council back there needs to stand up.
Ready? Hey, 1, 2, 3, I'll get a couple of them. So many blanks.
I just, on behalf of everybody in all of our communities, you helped neighbors you knew, you helped people from other communities throughout this storm, and we just can't thank you enough. You're real heroes. Thank you.
And I need to get some more names.
All right, we'll go ahead and take a 5-minute break so everybody can digress a little before we move on with the meeting.
Sorry, thank you.
All right. All right, we're going to go ahead and reconvene the open session and move to item 5B, which is a presentation by Fred and Rainey Abbott regarding railroad days.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for having me. My wife is sitting over there going to be critiquing us. We have railroad days for 2020 is well underway. Rainey has about 43 paid vendors right now. We have enough yeses for 60. We don't know if we have, after 60, we just have no place to put them. So we're going to have to cut it off. UP is going to bring up some big trains this year, which they weren't able to do last year. They didn't have the personnel nor the equipment because of all the fires that were going on around California. Let's see what else we've got. We've got okays from the Sheriff's Department, the Fire Department, Chris Nave. They're all going to bring their fire safety fair on Saturday. Black Flag Gang is coming. They're trying to round up more and more rascals to entertain us. We're looking at maybe a Civil War reenactment group along with the Mormon group from the Mormon militia from Coloma. They'll be here. The Black Flag is coming, maybe 40 folks. We will have skits and plays and entertainment in the lot of art next to the Marston's building. And that will all be scheduled. We'll have a banner out there. We're also going to do a trifold showing everybody where it'll have a map inside and a schedule of events and where it's going to be. And the map will also show where all the vendors are. In addition to that, because of a little bit of a problem that we had on last year's event, we are going to be posting signs about a week before the event saying that there's a warning. This is an 1800s reenactment. There will be gunfire, cannon fire, whip cracking, loud noises. And if you have any sensitivity to these issues or your animals are, to please be aware of it and take appropriate precautions. So that will be posted throughout downtown and even out. We're going to try to put some warnings up in the Sierra Market area, the upper part.
I was just going to ask if there'll be like a URL or something that someone can go to see the schedule of those events, if that's something that they're bothered by.
We hope to have that. We'll post that on our website and also on Facebook, the Railroad Days Facebook page.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I have a question. Have we reached out to the Friendship, the Chinese workers monument?
I haven't heard back from them.
Did you reach out to them? Because they weren't here for the last one.
They said they couldn't be. There was a conflict. And they have not been responding.
Okay, well, I'm going to send out an email and a copy, CC you, if that's okay.
So I just want to let you know that we are almost as full as we can get. I've got room for them.
Yes, please make room for them. I'll try and get them up here.
Especially if I do a miniature statue right out there where the bull and the bear used to be. That would be
fine. Yeah, no, let's just, because they will bring the statue up.
Okay.
And it's important to keep that information going.
Okay.
Because this is about history.
Yes.
And then there's one more question that I think I lost it. Is Adventures of Lefty going to be coming into town? He's part of the Adventures of Lefty. He's part of the Black Flag Gang.
Yes.
He will be here?
Yes. As far as I know, he's coming.
Okay, great.
Last year, he was going to bring, he runs a school in Southern California for period actors.
Yeah.
And he was not only going to come up, but he was going to bring his entire school.
Oh, okay, great.
Lefty is usually enough for us.
Yes, I know.
But if he was to bring his school, more the merrier.
Okay, and then one last question. There was a band out here last year. Are they coming again?
Yes.
Because they were fantastic.
Howlin' Allen.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to
Okay, so
clarify. Great. Thank you.
last year we had, it was something that we tried. So that the vendors didn't have to break down on Saturday and come back on, and set up on Sunday, because some of them, their setup times like 3 and 4 hours. So it was a real imposition to break down and come back. Having Howlin' Allen there and people wandering around until 9 o'clock. And then the Black Flag Gang has a group of people that are assigned to walk around the streets at night to keep track of what's going on downtown. The streets, that is something that is important. The streets will be shut down Saturday and Sunday. We're not taking the barricades down on Saturday. We did that last year. It worked wonderfully. And we were a little disappointed because Howlin' Allen normally plays in a small venue. And he went out and bought big speakers because he was expecting a big crowd, and we had like 50 people. So we're promoting Howlin' Allen. Good band, bring your dancing shoes and have a good time. What I said on the Facebook page was there's a Saturday night dance. Consider it like a good dinner. Save enough energy for dessert. Howlin' Allen.
Right.
So, last but not least, Railroad Days would like the city of Colfax's support financially for our event. Our costs this year have increased. Last year, we put the event on for $5,500 is what we had in our checking account after all the donations and stuff. And after all the bills were paid, last year we had $5,485.73 went out. So we wound up with a $15 profit. That's cutting it a little close. This year, because UP is coming up, they're asking for a large rider to bring their equipment up, insurance rider to bring their equipment up. So our insurance costs are going to go up $1,800 over last year. And we would therefore like to request from the city $2,500 in donation. However, whatever the city deems appropriate, we would be more than happy to accept. And I have a letter here. Who should I give this to? The mayor?
That would probably be me.
So Madam Mayor, for these events, typically we've budgeted $1,000, but of course it is of council's discretion if you would like to increase that amount.
Okay. So obviously this is a further discussion. I'm not sure if council wants to go ahead and entertain that discussion right now, or if we need to agendize it. We need to agendize it. Oh, that's right, because this is on presentation. Okay. So, this is really putting a time crunch. Okay, so what we would probably need to do then is put it on the immediate next agenda.
You can, though, since it just came up, you can, with the consent of council, add it to this agenda if you want to talk about it again.
Yeah.
We can do that?
Yeah.
Why have we never done this before? Okay, yeah, let's do
I
that.
move that we add this to the agenda tonight.
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Okay, so we'll tack this on the end of the agenda. Is that? Oh, we can do it now. Okay. So we can discuss it now. All right. Opening thoughts.
I'm okay with the 2,500.
especially since this is one of our big community events and, you know, we support some other events as well. So for me, it's yay.
Yeah, I'm in favor of it too. I think this is a good idea to do.
Yep, inflation's hitting everything, so
Yeah.
we're gonna have to start increasing the support we give to our community events. If we want to keep having them.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And I have been a supporter from the start. So
So
you
sounds
have
like
my
a
yes.
slam dunk here. Okay, so my question then to staff is so that we can make sure everything checks out and that we don't come up dry towards the end of the year, do we need to make any budget amendments on the next meeting to accommodate?
We don't. We'll address this in the mid-year budget review. If there's a shortfall of funding, overall through the account fund, then we will address that at that time. At this point, there's no need for action from council.
Perfect. Well, that's easy peasy. Then look at that. You got $2,500.
Thank you very much, council.
We need a motion.
Let's get the motion now. Let's make it official. Move to approve.
Yeah, motion to approve
Okay.
$2,500.
All right, sounds like I've got a motion and a second.
Second.
Can I get all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. Perfect.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll go ahead and move to our public hearings now. We'll start with item 6A, ordinance amending the Colfax Municipal Code regulating time limits for posting election campaign signage.
Madam Mayor, our city attorney is going to lead this item tonight.
Perfect.
And I thought the room was packed to talk about this issue, the political science. This is one of those interesting questions that arises every now and again. The question was, how soon before the election can people running for council post their election signs? And that question came to staff, and the response was, as the municipal code says, no sooner than 60 days before the election. That was enacted in this city in 2012 when we hired land use council to revise the zoning code. It had been prior to that, it had been 90 days, and this, and the signs had to be removed 5 days after the election. And I saw the email chain and I said, I think there's something wrong with this. Because what you're doing with your political signs, and this pertains only to political signs, is you're regulating the content. You're determining what the content of permissible signs can be. And there have been several federal cases, one from the U.S. Supreme Court that says, if you have to read what signs say in order to determine whether they're legal, then you're regulating content, and you cannot regulate content between different types of signs differently. So it is fairly clear to me that the municipal code as it stands is both unconstitutional and unenforceable. Because you're saying you cannot post political signs until 60 days before the election. That has been stricken in every time it's been challenged. The question then is this: technically, your ordinance remains valid until somebody challenges it. From the staff perspective, it was, well, do we really want to do that, or should we just take care of the problem now and take out the unconstitutional provision? And that's what staff is recommending. We're just recommending that you remove the 60-day restriction. If that happens, that means that anybody who's running for office can post their signs anytime before the election. The interesting part about this too is the requirement that signs be taken down within 21 days has also been tested and been held to be constitutional. Now, I don't know, I can't reconcile the two, but that's the status of the law. So what we're asking the council to do is remove the 60-day restriction. What that requires is adoption of an ordinance, because we're amending the zoning ordinance. And so what staff's asking is that you introduce the proposed ordinance amendment by title only, waive the first reading, and put this over for final adoption at the next meeting.
And this will still require the permit fee for being able to post. It doesn't affect that.
Doesn't change anything else. It just takes the time restriction out. That's what's been challenged and successfully so many times.
Yeah.
So that's my report.
Any public comment on this item? Any online?
There's nothing online.
All right, seeing none, back to the board for discussion and motion. Seems pretty straightforward, so.
Is this one that we can vote on tonight?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I'll make a motion that we strike the language per mix wording.
It's introduce the ordinance by title only, waive the first reading and put it over to the next meeting for adoption.
Yep.
And you have to also, wait a minute, you have to conduct a public hearing as well. This public hearing.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so I'm opening a public hearing. Do we have any public comment at this time? Any testimony? Seeing none, I'm closing the public hearing. All right, we've done the due diligence. Now, we have a motion on the table to follow staff's recommendation.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Abstained? Opposed? Seeing none? Yeah. Perfect. All right, well, that passes and we move to 6B, Village Oaks tentative subdivision map.
Madam Mayor, our illustrious planner is going to lead this discussion tonight, Emmanuel Yersu. And therein, he'll mention it tonight, but there is a request in the extension timeline as well as that came in late on this that staff's going to support. Take it away, man.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of the council. The item before you is a request by the subdivider of Village Oaks tentative subdivision map to extend the date of that subdivision map by, originally it was by 1 year. They've since amended the request to extend it by 2 years. It's still within the time frame allowed under state law for extensions. The map was originally approved in 2018. The original approval was good for 2 years. There was a 1 year extension granted by the city council in 2020. And then the state legislature adopted law that extended all land use entitlements, including vesting tentative subdivision maps for 1.5 years. That makes the expiration date of this project August 14 of this year. With the extension request before you, it would extend it by 2 years to August 14, 2024. The project is in substantial compliance with what was submitted back in 2018. They did make a few minor modifications as outlined in the staff report. With that, I conclude my report, and the applicant is here this evening. So if you have any questions of either the applicant or me, be happy to answer. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so at this point, I will go ahead and open the public hearing. And do we have any public testimony at this time?
Sure.
We can take the applicant, come on up.
I'm Eric Staus. I represent Village Oaks. So thank you for considering this, council and mayor, and a lot of appreciation goes out to staff for all their support over the years and keeping this project going and getting us somewhere on it eventually. So I don't have a speech other than that. I just am here for questions if you have questions.
Perfect. All right, do we have any other public testimony online or in person at this time?
Nothing online.
All right, well, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to the council for comments, questions, and discussion.
Could I ask you to come back up for a question? So in your words, what's the reason for the change?
Everything takes longer today. I fully expected to have Sierra Oaks, the neighboring development, completed and long done by now. We had COVID affected us for a couple of years, shut things down basically we stopped construction literally for 8 months in 2020 because we couldn't get people to show up to work. So we've had all these delays. We've had, there's a lot of work that goes into getting this project going, from design to entitlements to financing to sales, and it's compounded now as the real estate market is on verge of collapse in many people's minds. It already has and is starting. So there's just a huge amount of uncertainty, and I would like to see this project completed, but we're not done yet. So, you know, we're diligently moving forward. I know Carl and Wes and Emmanuel have helped in a lot of areas, and we're just, we just need more time. It's market driven primarily.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from council? All right, seeing none, if we don't have any further discussion, I will entertain a motion on this item.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. We will move to public comment. Do we have any public comment at this time, online or in person? Foxy, come on up.
As you know, the city now owns a lot of our, correct?
Put the microphone down.
I don't care. Okay. I'm gonna pass something out to the council.
Foxy?
Okay.
And you can see the wall in a lot of art is empty. Kim gave me an idea, and we want to put angel wings on the wall with a nice background behind it. It's become a popular thing across the United States for people to look in the city, in the community areas, to find the angel wings to stand in front and get your photo taken. And evidently a friend of ours that went across the United States noticed it happening in a lot of cities. So this would be a good piece of public art. Well, this is just a start. We're drawing the wings. We would have two sizes, a larger one and then a smaller one for children. And I think it would be a good addition to the lot of art wall and would be good for the city too, in promoting the city to get people downtown. So we will need help with paint and your approval to go along and work on it. So anyway, I'm just presenting it right now. So you all have pictures.
We don't own the building, but the side of the face of the wall, I think we've always maintained it on there, and recently we've removed the graffiti. So staff would look to council and see if you would want to support this idea, and whenever, if you do, then we'll come back to the future agenda item with some more perfected draft here for council to consider and vote on. And we'll make sure that we get the adjacent property owners buy-in as well too, so we have the loop closed.
He pretty much said before that if I come up with something good, he would go for it. But I mean, yeah, let's talk to him too. But
yeah,
I think it would help promote the downtown.
Yeah, so I'm 100% on board, and I actually know another local artist who's looking to potentially collaborate on this. So I will make that connection.
Okay, thank you.
I'm in support. Thank you, Foxy.
Rest of council, okay, it looks like you have full council support for this.
Great idea, Foxy. Thank you.
All right, do we have any other public comment?
There is a speaker on Zoom as well.
Okay, we'll go ahead and take in person first, and then we'll do Zoom.
Hi, my name is Tim Dion. I represent Colfax Business, Golden State Patient Care, and America in a whole. I need at least like maybe an hour of each council's time, anytime this week or next week, to discuss with you new upcoming laws and old ones that don't exist anymore. And just to explain to you and the public real quick, a lot of the American-owned companies are owned by foreigners. Canadians, a lot of them own most of the dispensaries. Some of them own a dispensary, one in every state, or cultivation. The Canadian owners put their money that they make on the American Stock Exchange. The American owners that have the Canada business put their money on the Canadian Stock Exchange. So these companies are selling stocks. Right now, the biggest company in America, which has operated above the law since it started, is Hytiva. Hytiva is selling shares $59 a share. I think they have like 10 billion of them, 10 million, something phenomenal. This company is not an American-owned company. None of them are. The one Cresco Labs, the one that I deal with, is a mining company. So they're on the Canadian Securities Exchange to sell their stocks for American-owned, American brand companies, but they sell their stocks to, they don't play in this country because it's illegal. You can't have a cannabis business and then have a cannabis company on the stock exchange because it's illegal, but you can have one in Canada, or have all your money go to Canada and have those investors invest in this country, because those are some international laws that I don't even begin to explain. But as an American and a local, the industry and a town that allows outdoor cultivation you've taken away from your citizens the revenue that could have been made individually with hard work through however, experience, hard work and whatever, and given that away to foreigners, kept the taxes, you have the revenue, the taxes, but the revenue that used to be made in this community and lots of communities in California, gone. It's out of your country. It's in Canada's pockets. Okay, so when you're thinking about local control, none of those people voted for any council member here. They never will. And a lot of your public is misinformed. So when you're talking about your constituents and how you have to listen to your constituents, if they're misinformed, then what good are you doing by listening to them if they don't really know? It's on you to make a decision on an informative, being more informed than I believe any of you are.
There's 30 more.
And I'm not harping on you. I just know that it changes monthly, yearly, and I would like to address that with council members and maybe come to some sort of conclusion on.
Thank you, Tim. I think each of the council members would be more than happy to have a moment to sit down with you and go through everything in detail.
Thank you. And so how do I go? Do I contact you guys individually, one at a time?
I think staff can provide you with our contact information so that
I
you
have
can.
all that. I just need to know, like, if I send you an email, will I get a response, or do I just handwrite a letter and deliver it?
If you can email me, text me, whatever.
Because I need to talk to all 5 of you, and even if you're still against it or whatnot, I need, there's some things you need to know, and I don't think you're informed about, and it's really, my concern because it's my industry, but it's your guys' control. So thank you for your time.
Call me, text me, email me, whenever.
Tim, I don't mind you emailing me. Just advice, just approach.
Okay.
Maybe just like in general, if the approach was like, hey, you guys don't know anything, you're stupid, whatever.
No, it's not that. It's just that nobody's ever asked. I might be, not a college graduate, but in this industry, I'm the expert, and I'm not happy about it. I just am that, and I want to express my expertise to the people that are in charge, and no one's ever asked. We've been told what to do. We never asked what would be the right thing to do for the, that's all. And I don't want to come across as I'm knowledgeable. I don't believe I'm a person that should stand up here and even lecture you or even be able to talk to you. It's just, it comes to the point where I'm more for Americans and America than I am for myself. And
so Tim, unfortunately, I do have to cut you off just because
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I have to give the same opportunity to everybody, so we're going to try to do our best to stick to the 3 minutes. So did we have any other public comment in the room at this time? You're always welcome to come up, Diane. I never want you to feel like you can't come up. Come on.
Here for you.
I just wanted to think, if he's gonna, I'd like to know more about it myself, if that information is gonna go to you guys, is there any way we can all get in on it?
We can certainly talk to him and see if he's willing to have a conversation. That's a bit informal that we'd be doing that because it sounds like what he'd like is an individual meeting with each of the council members. So I don't know if you want an individual meeting with him or maybe to join in on one of the meetings or whatever the case may
I'd
be.
love to join in on
But
that.
I would be more than happy to connect you and Tim so you guys can have a conversation as well. All right, any other public comment in the room? All right, seeing none, let's go online.
We have Lisa Strange with the California Department of Insurance.
Okay.
Lisa, go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Great. Thank you so much. So as she said, my name's Lisa Strange and I get to serve as the Northern California Outreach Manager at the California Department of Insurance. So what I just wanted to quickly do tonight is give an update on the work we've been doing on your behalf related to wildfires. There is some framework going through the regulation process called Safer from Wildfires, which is an interagency partnership between the insurance commissioner and the emergency response and readiness agencies in the governor's administration. Its purpose is to protect lives, homes, and businesses by reducing wildfire risk. We are working with CAL FIRE, Cal OES, the Governor's Office of Planning and Research, and the California Public Utilities Commission. The commissioner's been very busy using every tool available to him to improve insurance for our communities. Based on the direct experience of first responders, of which I saw some there tonight, and latest research on wildfires, the partnership created a consistent approach to reducing risk and with a list of achievable, certifiable, and effective actions to help make existing homes and businesses safer from wildfires. The ultimate goal is to protect consumers by reducing this risk in their communities, but also making insurance available and affordable for all Californians. So we're doing this with sort of a ground up approach. We call it the Safer from Wildfire 1, 2, 3 plan. Number 1 being protect your structure, such as making sure your roof and vents are up to code. And number 2 would be to have your immediate surroundings. Is the brush too close to your home? Are there flammable items stored under your deck? Things like that I'm sure a lot of you are aware of. And then number 3, the community. Involve your entire community to prevent wildfires from catching and spreading to other homes and businesses in the neighborhood. This could include enhanced infrastructure with programs like FireWise. So once these new regulations are in place, they will do 3 things. 1, pricing. They will require insurance companies to incorporate this framework into their pricing, which will drive down costs for consumers. Insurance companies will have to submit new rate filings to us to recognize that safety. Secondly, the transparency. Consumers will receive their property's wildfire risk score and the reasons for it, and the department will have oversight over that. And then third, right of appeal. Consumers like yourselves will be able to appeal that risk determination when you have done the work that I mentioned up above. Public input is critical. So to ensure we are on the right track, we held a hearing on April 13th that accepted public comments. Once the department finalizes those comments, the regulations will go to the Office of Administrative Law for approval. After that, the Department of Insurance will then have to approve new rates from each insurer, and we expect this whole process to be complete by January. Please visit our website at insurance.ca.gov, and on our homepage, there's a link to the Safer from Wildfire page, which has a list of actions to take to harden your home, your surroundings, and your communities. So that concludes my overview of the Safer from Wildfire framework. And if I still have 30 seconds, I just wanted to also put a quick plug in there for our California low-cost auto insurance program, which is a state-sponsored program that requires insurance companies to offer liability auto insurance to individuals that meet requirements. Some of those requirements are things like you must obviously have a valid driver's license, own a vehicle valued at $25,000 or less, and then meet income eligibility guidelines. And so one thing I just wanted to share tonight is that the annual premium in California varies by county, but in Placer County, you can get this liability insurance for as low as $263 per year. So our goal through this program is really just to get uninsured drivers insured, right? Get them off the road. So if you want to see if you qualify for this, you can visit mylowcostauto.com, or we've got a toll-free number, which is 602-8861. And again, just thank you so much, Mayor and council members, for letting me speak tonight. And once again, our website is insurance.ca.gov. Thank you so much.
Can you repeat that, my low cost address again?
Certainly, it's mylowcostauto.com.
And repeat the phone number once more?
Sure, 866-602-8861. We have brochures and flyers I'm happy to bring up, mail up, deliver to you, however works for you, if you want them for your offices or for your community.
That would be fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can we get some of those to the office this year and then be able to distribute it out?
Mhm.
Okay.
Perfect. All right. Do we have any other public comment?
We have a public comment on Facebook from Shirley Coons Alexander. She states, with a heavy heart, I would like to inform the city and council of the passing of David Woodward. David was one of the longest serving public works director of the city had before he left the city. Those of us worked many years with David will miss him dearly. Our love and prayers to his wife, Karen, and his family.
Thank you. I think we'll take a moment of silence this time. Okay. That's incredibly sad news. Do we have any additional public comment?
No.
Okay, with that being said, we will close public comment and move to item 8, which is council and staff reports. We'll start with committee reports. Sean?
Nothing to report tonight.
Joe?
Yeah, Wes and I were having a discussion that most people in the town might not be aware of, and that's on proper ways to dispose of oil and oil filters. And you were going to bring some samples over here?
I was, I'll make sure it's at the next meeting. I forgot.
Okay, so just describe for everybody what that process is.
Sure. So we have an oil recycling grant funds, and what we do with that money is we purchase oil recycling containers, the drains that go underneath your vehicle that drain out your oil. So you can get those at City Hall for free. What you do when you fill it up, you put it out to curbside for Recology to collect. They also have oil filter recycling containers as well that we give out for free here at City Hall as well too on there.
Now, so this gets some potentially hazardous waste out of the trash and into a place that can be recycled, and most of the oil can be reused. So it's just a good thing to do overall for everybody, and it's free. Come to City Hall, pick up your container. Please tell all your neighbors, right? This is a really good thing to do.
Perfect. Joe, did you have any other reports?
No, I have one thing. You go to the order, I'll do them.
Okay. David?
Nothing to report.
Marnie?
I have nothing to report.
Okay. So for the last couple months, I feel like it's been a lot of committee stuff. But I'm just going to touch on a couple things. So for SACOG, I did speak previously on the Sacramento Citizens Initiative tax measure that they are trying to pass right now. Because it's a citizen initiated measure for sales tax revenue, it's only required to get a 50+1, meaning 50% of the vote plus one, rather than the typical 2/3 that's required to pass a sales tax measure. So this is sort of a one-time opportunity Sacramento is pursuing to get the transportation funds that they need. The issue that arises for the other 6 counties in the SACOG region is the fact that if they are able to proceed funding-wise with some of these projects that are not part of the SACOG blueprint, they have the potential to tank the GHG emission goals that we're required to meet for our funding. And if they tank those emission goals, it tanks it for everybody. And so there has been a very lengthy back and forth between SACOG, the Citizens Initiative proponents, and STA, which is the Sacramento Transportation Authority, as well as some of the projects that would potentially receive funding from this pot. And cumulatively, it has resulted in a very contentious conversation. But we have come forward with an MOU that has been executed at this point, which clarifies the language in the ballot measure to require that they mitigate their GHG emissions in order to offset and come in carbon neutral, so that they don't essentially tank the emission goals for Placer County and Sutter County and all these other counties that have no way of doing anything about it. So this, hopefully, assuming that everything works out and assuming that the ballot measure does pass, hopefully this MOU will provide the required protections to keep the projects mitigating their emissions and not causing a bunch of smog that we then are required to somehow mitigate. On a brighter note concerning SACOG, I actually just got this text message a couple minutes ago, but we just found out that we were granted the $5 million raise grant. Mind you, this is a SACOG wide grant, so this is split among a lot of jurisdictions, but $5 million is $5 million. And it's still great to have that pot of money coming this way. This was a joint venture with PCTPA to develop a 6-county strategy to accelerate the zero emissions and transportation services that we're kind of already being required to do by the state. So this is providing the funding, so we're not having to come out of pocket to pay to create a plan that we're being told we have to do. So that's great news. That's a huge burden off of the county's shoulders. I don't think I have anything relevant to the city at this time that I want to report, so I'll turn it over to Wes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have 3 items I want to touch on tonight. It's been a long road with the PSPS issues that we had starting in 2019. From that, we worked with PG&E, and as Cindy Gepson was in here talking tonight, that she was, with the mayor at the time talking to the media and the impacts it has, and through negotiations with staff and PG&E, we actually had a PSPS station installed in town. So I don't know if PG is anticipating the need to use it this year or not, but I can tell you they have located 3 1-megawatt generators. They have been placed already, so that in anticipation of a potential PSPS outage, that we won't have to wait for them to mobilize or anything else. The downside is they're going to sit there through the season. I mean, I think that's an offset. I know it's an impact for some of the events and stuff, but I think in the long run, it's better for the community to make sure that we have the power back up whenever the grid goes down regionally. So I think it's a great thing. I mean, it's been a long road, but the main thing to take away from this is that PG&E funded this project from the start. There's not $1 of the general fund money that's gone into this project. And it's the commitment. I'd like to thank Brandon Sanders and others with PG&E for their commitment back to this community to do these things for us. The next one is our regional board grant that we have for our sewer. I think everybody's aware that we have a $5.5 million construction grant that we're currently working under. As Councilmember Lohman mentioned earlier, the cost of inflation is making that dollar value go for less and less further on there. So we're in negotiations with the regional board right now to add an additional $3 to $5 million to that grant funding pot so that we can get more work done on the projects that we want to get achieved. Now, for everybody to understand, so for every dollar we put into infrastructure improvements, that's $1 less we need in capital reserves for future replacement of those things. So it's deferring future costs for infrastructure improvements further down the road. So that helps you ultimately at the end of the day on the rate structure. I mean, if we can mitigate some of those cost of living increases on the back end with doing these types of projects, it helps us manage it forward when we look at the next rate study. So this is your staff and your council working hard for you to try to help balance between the need and the cost and everything else in the back end of it. So that's a positive thing to talk about tonight. The last item is you got to sound more positive when you say that, because that's a really positive thing. That's a positive. The last item tonight is really positive too, is the Project Go sewer subsidy program. We had a member of the community approach the city about help with their sewer bill. We pointed them towards Project Go. which created this opportunity to enter into an agreement with Project Go and the city to help those that are at disadvantaged people in there to actually a one-time be paid for their backhoe sewer bills. They can do that for them. So if you meet the requirements at www.csd.ca.gov, there's a whole myriad of income thresholds that you have to meet. But if you meet those things, you'll become eligible. And between the city and Project Go, we'll make sure that your account gets up to zero on the balance. But again, it's a one-time opportunity. So if you have questions on that, you're welcome to reach out to City Hall. You can reach out at accounting at Colfax-ca.gov.
Perfect.
That's all I got.
Awesome. All right, we will go ahead and move to item 9, council business. 9A, parking on narrow streets. And I'm going to turn this over to you, Nick. I'm going to turn it over to him.
You took the lead last time, but I'm not happy to make a couple of comments. This came up a couple of council meetings ago. The question is the council interested in regulating parking on some of its narrow streets, either by restricting parking entirely or regulating certain areas where parking will be permitted? I thought you had a question. Go ahead if you want.
Okay. So if we did decide to put in an ordinance for parking, can we keep it simple? Because what I've seen in examples has been pretty specific and giving the engineer the right to go out and basically measure the street and say, well, this is the street's too small, which most of our streets are, and put up signs and with our approval and go to town. So is there any way if we wrote an ordinance like this, we could just keep it simple and basically say that vehicles won't be parked in a manner that obstructs regular emergency vehicle navigation?
That becomes very difficult to enforce. And we worked with the sheriff's department on this, and they thought this looks okay as a starting point. And remember that everything, if the ordinance that we propose passes, everything comes back to council for approval. It's not just the city engineer going out and marking curbs or areas. The city engineer will recommend areas that
right. So the city engineer would develop a plan for a block or so.
That's correct.
Come back to council,
Yes.
says this is what I'd like to do.
Yes.
And if council then approves that, then that one block or whatever that section is what will get done.
Yes.
That is correct.
So to Sean's point, that's actually the exact original, that's how it all came up was, can we just throw something on the books so we can address on a one-off basis when people are being jerks? Because that was the context of the conversation.
Kind of makes sense. If you can't get past it, you can't get past it. I mean,
Exactly.
if somebody's blocking the road, call and
you know,
obviously blocking the road. I can't drive my vehicle through there. So
yeah.
That was the original context of the conversation, and pretty much law enforcement was the one who came in and said, well, it's great in theory, but we can't actually enforce it or do anything with it. And so that's sort of the evolution of how we've come to where we are now. And
and reading through the draft language that you had in here, the only thing I would struggle with on that, it says the person can't stop or stand or park. I would say park is not a problem. Right, but stopping, like you let your kids out, or there's somebody crossing the street, or standing there for a minute while you're waiting for somebody to walk down your driveway. I don't think those are the issues that we're struggling with. I think the issues we're struggling with is it's a car blocking the road, hanging out on the road, and you can't get by.
I took that language directly out of the vehicle. So
Yeah.
If you want to restrict it to just parking, that's fine.
Yeah.
I think leaving the open context allows us to have, when the engineer comes forward and presents the actual plan, it gives us that opportunity to then get all fine tuning about it. I like having the broad brush stroke in the ordinance itself so we can deal with things more individually when it's appropriate.
I don't like the idea of permanently restricting parking on the majority of our streets that are going to fall under these parameters. And everything but our main thoroughfares pretty much falls under these parameters where the engineer can go out and say, yep, this street's too narrow. We need to put up signs here. And then a council can vote that an entire street doesn't get parking anymore.
To be fair, they can do that anyway. But I would say, my hope with this would be a complaint based thing where we're dealing with it based on where the issues actually are.
So we're not hiring.
Well, I mean, that kind of just goes into the, are you blocking the road or not? Can I get an
Yeah.
emergency vehicle past there? I mean, can I get?
Yeah, it's more than complaint based too, because in order to be enforceable, you have to mark the areas, you have to
Right.
cite or red terms or whatever.
Right, but we're not giving the city engineer loose cannon to be like, hey, we don't have enough stuff to do today. Let's restrict the streets. It's not what we're, that's not what we're doing.
Yeah, again, that was staff's perception of this is if you do adopt the ordinances that we would pursue based on complaint based, do an analysis, then come back to council for consideration at that point. We're not going to go out pursuing narrow streets at that point.
Yeah.
And our charge, I think, from the council was keep it simple.
Yeah.
And keep it simple and enforceable. And that was really one sentence.
Yeah.
I couldn't make any more simple than that.
I think it's 3 sentences, but yeah.
Well, the enforcement part is just the restriction part is the first sentence.
So do we have to put this on as another agenda item or what do we do?
We would bring this forward then as a proposed ordinance you'd have a public hearing and public comment and, you go through the first read, the second read and then adopt.
Yeah, I think we're ready to carry this forward to the next step, whatever that is.
I think so too. So if I could get a motion, public comment. Do we have any public comment on this?
There's nothing online.
Perfect. All right.
Just direction to staff is fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it sounds like at least a couple people, I'd like everyone to kind of give some input. Are we ready to move this forward to an ordinance? All right. Well, I've got at least 3 of us saying yes. So Marnie, you want to move this forward to ordinance?
I don't know. I'm.
No, feeling good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You have 3, so I think that's adequate direction. We'll go ahead and move to go to the order. Joe, I know you have something. Sean, do you have anything?
Nope.
All right, Joe, go ahead.
Just so everybody knows, up in Alta, right next to the firehouse at the Sarah First Baptist Church, there's a food bank. It meets every Thursday from 10 to noon. We're getting about 10% of the people that are coming to that food bank are all from Colfax. The only restriction you have on being able to get food from the food bank is you have to give them your first name. You have to give them what city you're from and how many people, like adults and children, the food's going to go to help. That's it. You generally get a bag of frozen meats, a shopping bag full. You get a shopping bag full of canned goods, boxed goods and stuff like that. And they have a huge shopping area of breads, pies, cakes, fruit, vegetables, whatever is down at the Placer County Food Bank that we bring up every Thursday. So if you know people that need it, I know the one in Colfax is not that often, but if you need additional help, there's plenty of stuff available. And whatever doesn't get used at the food bank there's people up in Colfax that feed it to chicks, chickens, pigs, and other animals. So basically nothing goes to waste. Right. So it's just a good thing to be aware of. Tell your neighbors about it. And some of the material that we're getting in, some of the foodstuffs we're getting is just top-notch stuff. We got cases and cases and cases of strawberries 2 weeks ago that were like better than you see in the supermarkets. So it's just like it's really nice material up there. So if you know somebody that needs just a little bit of help to get by, especially in these tough times, just let them know that place is up there.
Okay. David, do you have anything?
A question. Every Thursday in Alta, right next to the fire station.
Okay. Anything?
It's a great segue. Fire station. I just want to give a shout out to Cal Fire. Just you guys have pounced on the fires we've had so far this season. It's been awesome. I mean, you guys have pounced on those fires. So just want to give a shout out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Took the words right out of my mouth on that one because, like I said today, I've never seen a response that fast on anything ever. I mean, I literally had just enough time to flip my ass around on the freeway and get back. It was insane. So thank you so much. With that, I don't think we have anything else.
I just wanted to mention one more thing I forgot. So I just wanted to point out that Placer County and RCD in conjunction with CAL FIRE and their foresters have spent a ton of time and money on our road easements all over Placer County to clean up all the storm damage. They got some grant funding from the state and CAL FIRE and FEMA. And they were able to put that to good use and took care of a bunch of roads in Colfax. Dangerous egress is out of Cape Horn. They got Ben Taylor and all of Placer Hills Road and worked a whole bunch of roads in the area up towards Alta and stuff. So it's been a huge help. Yeah, the cleanup has been phenomenal. It's a huge effort from several crews out there. So just big thanks to the county and CAL FIRE and everybody involved.
Anything, Marnie? All right, well, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.